the time.
Are you paying too much for your home, life, or auto insurance? It only takes 10 minutes to find out. Hi, this is Kevin Bowles with Badger Insurance Advisors. Choosing insurance plans can be difficult. That's why I make it easy. I'll make the calls, compare the plans and prices, and find you the insurance plan that fits your needs. Best of all, my help is at no cost to you. Call me today at 303-359-1799 or visit badgerinsuranceadvisors.com. Let me find the right insurance for you.
Hey, Larry Elder here. Thank you for listening to the Bucky Dillon Show, hosted by the Liberty Revolt and KHNC.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6:05, Tuesday, January 19th. And I'm so excited to be here with you. I just need to give a shout out to my sponsor. The Bucky Dillon Morning Show is sponsored by expert real estate agent Jerry Axum at Sears Real Estate. My wife and I have been in the process of buying our first home, and it's an incredibly intimidating process. You don't want to do it alone. Remember that the contract you're signing has been written up by bankers and lawyers. If that doesn't put up red flags, you haven't been paying attention. Jerry's been in the Northern Colorado area for like 60 years. He's been in real estate since 2005. That's like 16 years. That's almost as long as I've been alive, right? So he knows what to look for. He knows what to avoid. And you don't just get him, you get the entire Sears real estate team looking out for you on one of the most crucial purchases of your life. So you don't want to mess that up. You want to contact my friend, Jerry Axum at Sears Real Estate. You can get a hold of him by his email, jerry@searsrealestate.com. That's jerry@searsrealestate.com. Tell him that Bucky Dillon sent you. Jerry, we really appreciate you. Guys, you can find an interview I did with Jerry just the other day right here live in Johnstown, 1360 KHNC Studios, a streamlined and informative interview where I asked him every question I could think of. And unlike Joe Biden stumbling and bumbling, he was sharp and articulate and got very, very comprehensive answers. I actually had to go back and rewatch the interview a couple times just to absorb the information. Definitely worth checking out. Also, you can catch the Liberty Revolts podcast on the 1360 KHNC website. So visit the website. You can also find CBD products if you click the shop button. Best deal in Northern Colorado. Kevin.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Awesome. How's
Right
it
on,
going?
man.
Awesome. So, I just want to ask really quick, what do you have against lawyers?
Well, I would say that the only place besides law school that has too many lawyers is hell itself.
Oh, thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. I guess I have to get used to it. I have to get used to the hatred in the end.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden stumbling, bumbling, getting through all his stuff, dude. We are one day away from a Joe Biden presidency here, and I still have really no idea what to expect other than what's the over-under on how many days before Kamala Harris takes over?
Well, gosh, Joe Biden better get himself a food tester. He better watch himself around steep stairways when Kamala's around.
She was the one that was actually playing with his dog when he got hurt. She was like, come on, go get him, go get him.
Yeah, right. She was sticking little pieces of meat in his pockets,
She's sitting in the back rubbing her hands like he fell. Is this it? Ah, dang it. It's just his ankle.
I know. Can you imagine he dies like the day after inauguration and she's
oh my God. Even she doesn't want that because she's sitting there like, it can't be too obvious. Like, they're going to think it was me. Anything inside of 6 months and they're going to think I did it.
Well, she's just going to denounce everyone who says that as a QAnon supporter, as racist white nationalists and domestic terrorists and have them done away with immediately. Right?
Wait a second. She says that when we criticize her too. So like, when does she not think that's the case? I thought that she just assumed we all were.
It's par for the course. So, have you seen this migrant caravan?
Whew, here we go again, man.
No, I mentioned in the first segment, I was like, I wonder why? Why now? Why would they be aiming to arrive in the United States right around the 21st? I
Well,
wonder if there's any particular reason why they might feel as though they're going to be allowed to just stumble on in
like come around
and
it.
get a
Yeah,
free
no,
meal.
yeah. I think it's still going to take them a while to get all the way across Mexico. But like, dude, you want to know what's crazy is that Mexico has stricter immigration laws than America does, and yet
Oh yeah,
no one on the left sits there and says that Mexico is a horrible place. It's because they know Mexico's a horrible place. So yeah, I guess everybody should just come right on through and come into America. But it's like, you know,
I know
they're.
what. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like there needs to be an understanding that a lot of these people that are coming through, they're going to be seeking asylum once they reach the border, but they're not seeking asylum from anything that's, outside of standard poverty issues. It's not to say that poverty itself isn't bad, but, the conditions from the countries that they're leaving, like Honduras and stuff like that, a lot of that is just pure economic failure. It has nothing to do with a government that wants to kill them for who they are or some kind of belief that they're holding. Or they're just really poor. There aren't enough jobs, so they're trying to come up here, and it's like we have a legal immigration process. We need to be able to control the flow because we can't be handling humongous, 10,000, 5,000 plus, 10,000 plus person caravans coming to our border. And just coming into our ecosystem here, it's a shock on the system, if you will. And if you do not hold your asylum system to high standards, it ends up not really being an asylum system, and it ends up failing people who actually need to find real, legitimate political asylum because their government wants to kill them, or there are entities back in their country that are trying to cause them harm for a specific belief or specific political standing, and they actually need asylum. So, people who are worried about immigrants around the world need to understand, by allowing people who are not actually in danger to file and seek asylum, you're preventing people who actually need it from getting it.
Right, and you're doing a tremendous disservice to the people who are going about things the right way. I mean, there's
Yep.
a lot of legitimate questions about the humanity of our border policies, right?
Yep.
But do we care about sovereignty and the rule of law in our country? I mean, you either believe that our country has the right to decide who comes in and out, or you don't. And if you don't believe that you have the right to decide who comes in and out of your home, then maybe you should rethink your position. Hey guys, you're listening to 1360 KHNC. We're going to be talking about immigration a lot. So, hey, hang around. We really appreciate you joining us right here on 1360. Catch the live stream, youtube.com/Liberty.
Join us and don't miss a moment of the Alex Jones Show, your number one source for real independent media. Find out what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. InfoWars is pro-America, pro-family, pro-freedom. We are rebooting 1776. Exclusive reports, live coverage, information you won't find anywhere else. Tomorrow's news today. Stay informed by listening to KHNC 1360 AM.
Alex is here, 1 o'clock, Monday through Friday, right here on the Roar of the Rockies.
Hey, folks, in today's world of turmoil and change, how do you prepare for the next crisis? With propaganda-filled airwaves, who do you trust for the straight scoop? Our company, PacManUSA.com, is built on 60 years of experience, truth, and integrity. We offer hard-to-get items covering a wide range of needs, things not found in the local big box store. Visit us at PacManUSA.com. That's PacManUSA.com.
Does this corrupt monetary system give you a whack to the head or a poke in the eye? Call Patriot Trading Group at 800-951-0592. That's 800-951-0592. Don't be a stooge. Buy gold and silver today. 1360khnc.com has CBD products. Click on the shop button and get yours today.
Just go to 1360khnc.com/shop. The CBD on our website is 99% pure, all natural, no pesticides, non-GMO, is grown organically right here in Colorado, and is 100% THC free. Oh, and did you know ours is the lowest price CBD anywhere in Northern Colorado? For all your CBD needs, just log on to 1360khnc.com/shop.
Great minds think alike. Thank you for listening to the Bucky Dillon Show, hosted by the Liberty Revolt. Join me, Larry Elder, today at 5 on 1360 KHNC. Now back to Bucky Dillon.
So there has been a lot of questions about the humanity of our policy in regards to family separation. Now,
Yes.
my contention is that there's only 5 ways to deal with family units, or perhaps not family units, crossing our borders, right? Number 1, we just tell them no. And we leave unaccompanied children, or a woman and a child, or a man and a child,
Well,
to just stumble back through the desert towards Mexico.
well,
We
first,
too, hang on, let me get through my
Yeah.
4 points. Okay.
Yeah.
So we either just turn them around as soon as they get there, right? We spend billions of dollars trying to adjudicate them back to their countries. Most of the time they won't tell you where they're from because they don't want to be sent back, right? And that's obviously, we can't afford to just be sending planes and trucks full of people back across to Guatemala over and over, right?
Just
Number
ask Mark
3.
Zuckerberg where they're from.
Number
knows.
3, we put them, the whole family unit, into a jail cell until they go to trial, which could be 3 years down the line because we're so overwhelmed, right? Or we separate the adult, we put them in a jail cell and we wait for their trial, and we put the kid in a temporary facility until we can process the situation, and then release them in hopes they come back for their trial, which a large percentage of them do not, by the way. They just disappear into the country. Or we just let people go willy-nilly into the country. Now, here's the problem. I understand it looks bad to separate the children. Number 1, the reason the conditions are so bad is because Democrats are getting political hay out of pointing to the bad conditions and saying, look, these are terrible conditions, these are concentration camps, but they refuse to fund them, right? These are intended to be daycare facilities that have educational resources, playgrounds that have recreational resources that are meant to be temporary, and they're completely overwhelmed, right? Our border agents, they physically do not even have a fraction of the manpower and funding they need to deal with this.
Real quick.
Secondly,
I think it's really important to explain why it is we do the separation in the first place. For those of you who are unaware, the estimates are about 30% of especially little girls coming across the border are being trafficked for sexual trafficking. So the only way that you can protect these kids is to separate them from the adult they came with, so that they aren't with the person who's actually trafficking. This way you can find out, you can pull them into a separate area and be like, hey, is the person you're with right now, are they your mom and dad? Are they your uncle? Are they someone that you know? Or are you here without anyone? That way you don't give this child back to their sex trafficker and send them into our country. You separate them. You can find out. That way you can separate them. If they are being trafficked, you can take them and give them to somebody who's not going to be putting them in a sex trade. Find a family member in the country, something to be able to help these children, rather than just send them into America with a sex trafficker.
right. I mean, Border Patrol agents are routinely finding the same children coming across with different adults over and over and over. There was the tens of thousands of children are being sex trafficked or just trafficked for the sake of getting across the border because it's able to take advantage of our immigration laws so easily. And the cartel knows it. They understand that if they send an adult with a child across the border, it's almost a guarantee that they will just be released back into the country because we do not have the manpower to withhold it.
Nope,
I mean,
we do
there was
not.
a speech that the head of Border Patrol in El Paso was giving where he said our facility is designed to hold 3,000 people. 6,000 is a crisis. We took in 13,000 this month. We are more than 50% of our staff is being spent trying to more
There's
than
that noise
50% of
again.
our staff is spending their time trying to take these people in and out of care, get these people Medicare, quarantine the people who are sick, figure out which children are actually there with their parents and which children are not there with their parents, which children
Yep.
have been kidnapped. I mean, there was a young woman from Mexico in New York who's about 18 years old who they found who had been kidnapped by human traffickers, and then once they made it across the border, they decided that she had not paid for her coyote, right?
Yep.
And so basically they put her into indentured prostitution where she was raped about 30 times a day for 5 years. Nobody talks about that humanity,
No, they don't.
that
And
absolute nightmare
yep,
that she
and
had
you,
to live for. And further investigation found they tracked down a stash house where 54 people were being held as essentially hostages of the cartel until they had paid their cartel dues. And this is
Yep.
all because the cartels are taking advantage of our asylum laws.
Yep, and you are 100% right, especially too in the earlier point where the Democrats want to be able to point the fingers, because Donald Trump was correct when he said, "Who built the cages, Joe?" Because they did, and they were complicit in it. But it's a really good battering ram to be able to use against the Republicans in any primary to say he supports the border wall, he supports separating children. It's like they're able to get away with those attacks because they have never once acknowledged why it is children are separated, why it is these cages. Like, the Democrats knew why they were necessary. They understood how disgusting the conditions are, and you can tell how uninformed their base is because when Donald Trump mentioned coyotes in the debate, all you saw was coyote memes on Twitter that were like, "Oh my God, this guy really thinks animals are trafficking people across the border." It's like, you are so uninformed on the issue. You don't even know what coyotes are. You don't know the kind of conditions these people have to deal with to get to America. What happens when they get here? So many times they're like, all right, so this trip will cost $5,000 a head. And then they get here, they're like, oops, sorry, there's an extra $2,000 fee that we're charging you. Stay in this storage container until we can get that money from you. Oh, you didn't get it? Guess you died. That's like, they don't understand. They are uninformed, and the Democratic leadership knows how unimportant that is because Twitter just Twitter proved it in that claim. This is why they need to remain uninformed, because no one on Twitter was really taking notice of all the conservatives. Like, do you see how stupid you are? You don't know what a coyote is. But that doesn't matter because Twitter did its job. It backed it up. It attacked Trump over the coyote comment. It was, attacked Trump over the immigration, all his immigration policies, because they are uninformed, and they need to remain uninformed. They need to remain in the dark about why these things actually work, because once you understand the conditions, you're like, oh, maybe we should be separating them at the border. Oh, maybe we should be verifying who these people are and who's with them, because it's important anyways to separate them separate people, because then you can find out from adults if they're being trafficked by a coyote. Maybe someone in their group is that horrible human being who's going to hold them hostage in a storage container. And you can get that person out of there, and then the cartel loses out. The cartel loses out on money if these people actually make it to the border and are able to get separated from their coyotes. So there is.
So I just want to put out some numbers here. In Texas, we have two neighboring counties. We have Brownsville and McAllen. In Brownsville, you have 35 miles of barriers, and as a result, only 6% of the crossings in that sector in that area take place there. But in McAllen, you have all of the rest, thousands of people a day coming across the border. And I mean, there was in the early spring and summer months
Yeah, you'll
of
get hundreds of thousands.
2019, we were having 100,000. I mean, there was a month where we had 144,000 people come across in one day, and it's not just that we can't take in that many people. It's that what the cartel will strategically do is send a big group of people to one area, and then all of our border patrol agents have to focus on that group and getting them to where they need to be and figuring out the situation. And while they're preoccupied, the cartel will run their drug smugglers and their sex traffickers through another part while the border patrol agents are preoccupied, right?
I don't think people understand.
The biggest difference between Brownsville and McAllen is the border. We have 4 implementations for border security: personnel, technology, physical barriers, and the legal capacity to deport people who do not have legitimate claims to be in the country, right? And you can't just take one of those away.
No, you can't. And I don't think people understand just how well equipped the cartels are right now. I think there's a lot of people, especially on the left, that do not understand what we mean by narco state. Like, the cartels own Mexico. They get drones, they get high level technology. They can watch as the border patrol is responding in one area and, like you said, slip their guys up and slip their people and their drugs up through another area because they have the technology now. Drones are pretty easily accessible at this point, and if they're on the Mexico side, we can't be shooting them down. So you can float that drone. But I think you said something else earlier that was really accurate as well, and it's just that we don't have the capacity. Like, we don't have the capacity in any way, shape, or form to handle the kind of numbers that are coming through, and especially when we have a system wherein immigrants are incentivized to come here as opposed to other countries because your education will be taken care of, because your medical care will be taken care of, all these other things. It creates a really tough situation. But I think there was something even more important that you talked about, and that was the fact that legal immigrants are starting to get pissed. And I think it was reflected in the voting numbers, because you saw all-time high turnout for Donald Trump in terms of black vote and Latino vote. But the thing is that black vote, there's a lot of legal immigrants involved in that. And that Latino vote, there's a ton of legal immigrants about that. And legal immigrants are starting to get to the point where it's like, we know in a Joe Biden presidency, you're going to try to what's the word?
Essentially, let all these people cut us in line.
Exactly. You're going to let all these people cut us in line. It takes the average person 10 to 15 years to gain citizenship, and he wants to just give it to them, right? These, your normal legal immigrant is studying for years, is learning the laws, learning the customs, learning the language, all this other stuff in order to pass a citizenship test, and yet you're just going to allow millions of illegal immigrants to cut the line just because they're here. That's not fair. It's not okay. Democrats, we see what you're doing, trying to build your voter base. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to bite them in the butt, because you saw what happened with the voting this time around. Donald Trump had gained a lot, and I think a lot of that was legal immigrants voting for Trump because they do not like this democratic open border stance that would end up making their own sacrifices not worth it.
Right. And let's talk for a second. Who suffers from illegal immigrants? Is it the wealthy, well-educated, college-educated,
liberal elite
class?
No.
MS-13 isn't selling drugs and kidnapping children in Nancy Pelosi's neighborhood, right? Her job's not at risk, right? I don't think these people understand it. They just think, oh, well, we need to let people in. Well, I have a policy. It's called my entire Border Patrol policy could be summed up in one phrase: put your own oxygen mask on first. Right? We clearly have problems here in this country. We clearly have communities who have been historically disadvantaged and need a leg up. We clearly have parts of our country that need investment. We have people who are out of work that need opportunities. And the first people displaced by waves 1 million illegal immigrants coming here looking for jobs a year. The first people displaced are low-income Americans and Americans who are typically overlooked in the job application process. Single
have a
mothers,
question for
people
you.
with criminal histories. Go ahead.
Is America a horribly systemically racist, white supremacist country that disadvantages minorities left and right, or is it a bastion of liberty and freedom that should invite every single person in the world in?
I
Which
don't
one
know.
is it?
Ask 1 million immigrants a year who flood here from other countries. You're
Ask a
listening
liberal. Ask a liberal which
listening
one.
to 1360 KHNC. This is the Bucky Dillon Show.
Hey all, I'm Lee Turner Jr. of Tango Firearms Training, inviting you to join me on Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock for my show, Don't Be a Victim, right here on KHNC 1360, The Roar of the Rockies.
It is not because men have made laws that life, liberty, and property exist. On the contrary, it is because life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that men made laws in the first place. What then is law? It is the collective organization of the individual right to lawful defense and punishing injustice. Frederick Bastiat, The Law.
You can buy gold just about anywhere in the world from all kinds of different dealers. So why do you use the Patriot Trading Group?
20 years of service, just like that. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, just like that. Lowest prices, just like that. No solicitation, just like that. Buying or selling, just like that.
For all your gold and silver needs, call the Patriot Trading Group at 800-951-0592, just like that.
Hi, Brian Kilmeade here. Thanks so much for listening to me every weekday from 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. right here on KHNC, the Roar of the Rockies. Hey, do you own a business in northern Colorado or surrounding areas? Are you looking to reach a conservative, loyal audience which could grow your business? Well, take my advice and contact my friends at KHNC. KHNC has a rapidly growing conservative family-based audience, and you can speak directly to them. Now, if you're looking for the type of customers or clients that believe in the principles that our great country was founded upon, just contact my friends at KHNC, the Roar of the Rockies, and learn how you can be heard right on the air. Just call 970-587-5003 or email on the air at 1360khnc.com. That's 970-587-5003 or email on the air at 1360khnc.com. Take it from me, Brian Kilmeade. You can showcase your business to the folks that are helping to take our country back.
This is Sam Shook, Navy Vet and Medicare Specialist. I just want to thank the KHNC listeners for their support and trust in me as their Medicare specialist. If you are currently on Plan F, we are in a window of opportunity that can save you a lot of money towards your monthly premium. Please contact me at 970-413-4939. If you are getting into Medicare soon or are already enrolled and have questions, please call me at 970-413-4939. Again, thanks KHNC listeners.
My name is Dwayne Brothwell. Listen to my show, Mystery Babylon, every Sunday, 11 a.m. I will show you how the birth certificate image of the beast binds you to Babylon the bank for the debt money we use to buy and sell with. That's every Sunday, 11 a.m.
欢迎收听 KHNC 广播电台 Bucky Dillon 早安秀，大家的早安广播，谢谢。
Right. So they talk about family separation. When really we can't just assume that it's all on the up and up, that these are all just families, right?
No.
There's huge number of unaccompanied children. There's a huge number, tens of thousands of children who are coming across with adults who are not their parents, and there's a very high risk of children and women being physically, violently, sexually abused on the trip up here, or in these facilities. When these facilities are meant for 3,000 people, and you have 13,000 people show up. And our Border Patrol agents are trying to quarantine people who are sick. They're trying to quarantine people who have other contagious pathologies going on. When we have Border Patrol agents who are rushing around trying to pick up this other group of people, trying to send these people. There are hospitals in Texas that are funded to provide healthcare for low-income Americans that are spending 25 to 50% of their funding on illegal immigrants, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't try to help people. Obviously, we need to try to help people, but even Bernie Sanders used to say that we need strict border control because we cannot financially sustain dumping money. Well, now he's like open borders.
No,
and
he dropped.
Borders, you are racist.
No,
Did he change his mind?
He has dropped his open border stance, man. Because he realized they hurt people on the minimum wage spectrum more than anyone else, and he can't be arguing for higher minimum wages because Bernie Sanders, he is a lot of things, but he is not a complete moron. And a lot of people will tell you in a social system, and especially a socialized system, you have to have a very strong control on immigration in order for these social safety nets to be functional, because you look at places like Southern California, where I'm from, you fill schools up with children that don't have parents that are paying into the system in the slightest. You end up getting too many kids in school districts that are, that aren't paying into it. It ends up ruining the education system. Los Angeles County is one of the worst in America, which ends up doing long-term damage to the people who most desperately needs the social welfare programs. And in the long term, you make them ineffective. So even Bernie Sanders knows you can't have fully open borders.
But it's interesting. When did he flip on that? Because I know originally when I first got into politics, 2015, 16, he was saying that. He was saying what you're saying now.
Yeah,
and then when he was running against Trump, he was like, we need fundamental immigration reform. It is inhumane. We need to let these people in and blah, blah, blah. And he totally switched his stance. He was saying that border security was essentially racist and bigoted, and we needed to do away with it, and we needed to, instead of sending Border Patrol agents to these people, we should be sending them lawyers, and we should be paying for it. And then of course he rose his hand, and with all the rest of the Democratic candidates,
that was a trap question.
Tax funding to illegal immigrants.
That was a trap question. I mean, I listened to him in the debates, and I got the idea that he understands that you need to have a tough border. The thing is a lot of Democrats like to conflate open borders with no borders, right? Open borders, I put it this way: in order for you to have an open door, you still need to have a house and walls, or you have to have a house and walls around it for the door to open up into. So even if you're going to try for your quote unquote open borders, you still need a secure border to control the flow across it. You still need to be able to track people coming in and out, so that you can track how much they're drawing on the system, how much they're, what kind of stuff they need. And at the end of the day, you can't let people into the country who are immediately going to be a net negative on the economy by requiring medical assistance and all this other stuff. I know it's a very tough line to walk, and that's what politics is. It's making really tough decisions because of cost benefit and analysis,
And here's the thing. These countries south of the border are reproducing so fast. Their birth rates are pretty high. They're reproducing even if we took in everyone, it wouldn't end poverty there, right?
No.
We wouldn't make a dent in the situation down there. And I have long time been an advocate of, hey, perhaps we should have a conversation with the Mexican government about bringing them into the union.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, 56% of Mexicans wish they could live in America. And if we had jurisdiction to kind of get rid of a lot of the crime and the political corruption they have down there, and we could take them in and bring them into the workforce and into our economy, hey, perhaps that would be more sustainable than what we have now. I mean, and when we're talking about
Mexico.
over 100,000 apprehensions a month in 2019, it's not just that. Border Patrol agents thinks they catch 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. So we're talking about possibly 4 million plus illegal immigrants into the country a year. Now, and you know what else I think is funny? So I haven't seen that much coverage in left-wing media about these migrant caravans, but it's really interesting. You can't eat at a restaurant or go to the bar because it's considered a super spreading event. But if you look at the footage of these caravans, does that not look like perhaps a super spreading event?
Well, yeah, no, you got to understand the leftist mindset, which is, so what is the issue at stake here? Well, this is what I want from it, so this is my stance on it. Ergo, so COVID, yeah, I want all the businesses shut down. Oh, immigration, oh yeah, you got to let them all in. We're in a pandemic time, but let the giant, mass of people into the country, everything like that. No, I think that it's absolutely ridiculous for the Democrats to continue to posture themselves in a way where they're hypocritical at almost every single turn. Every time there's something that they want done, you can just look at somewhere else along their platform and see where the contradiction is. It's like, you want all these private businesses to be shut down. We already have a job issue. There's already, crazy unemployment going on here, and so you want to take in more low-skilled migrant workers to fill jobs that don't exist,
and then pass a bunch of tax and regulations that are totally uncompetitive on the global market, and send all of our jobs, all of our low skill and middle wage and middle class jobs overseas. Right? You want to bring in potentially 4 million people a month. And then what they're going to do, by the way, is they're going to then say, oh, we have this underclass in the US and we need to give them voting rights. And I personally think this is part of the motivation. They anticipate that if they can give voting rights to people, they'll vote in excess of 80% plus for the Democratic Party, the party that let them in. And so they think it's a way for a permanent political majority in this country. And if a permanent political majority in this country does not scare you, whether you're left or right, you don't know anything about history.
They need to import their votes.
You're listening to the Bucky Dillon Morning Show, 1360 KHNC. Check out the website, 1360khnc.com. Hit shop.
Join us and don't miss a moment of the Alex Jones Show, your number one source for real independent media. Find out what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. InfoWars is pro-America, pro-family, pro-freedom. We are rebooting 1776. Exclusive reports, live coverage, information you won't find anywhere else. Tomorrow's news today. Stay informed by listening to KHNC 1360 AM.
Alex is here 1 o'clock, Monday through Friday, right here on the Roar of the Rockies.
Hi, this is Mike Morris, owner of Warriors Revolution Tactical in Longmont. At Warriors Revolution, we have the largest selection of tactical gear and ammo in northern Colorado. But what many now sell firearms, and even despite the recent run on firearms and ammunition, we have plenty of product in the store, including ARs, AKs, Glocks, SIGs, HK, and more. And don't forget all the bulk ammunition at the best prices in town. Need to do a private firearms transfer? We can do that too. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and our team is made up of veterans and security experts, not a bunch of salesmen. Our team is trained and fought with much of the actual equipment we sell. And one thing you should know is that we support the foundations and principles this great country was founded upon. So if you need tactical gear, ammo, firearms, AR parts or upgrades, and even survival accessories, stop by and visit us on Ken Pratt Boulevard and Bowen Street in Longmont, or visit warriorsrevolution.com. That's warriorsrevolution.com.
1360khnc.com has CBD products. Click on the shop button and get yours today.
Just go to 1360khnc.com/shop. The CBD on our website is 99% pure, all natural, no pesticides, non-GMO, is grown organically right here in Colorado, and is 100% THC free. Oh, and did you know ours is the lowest price CBD anywhere in northern Colorado? For all your CBD needs, just log on to 1360khnc.com/shop.
The Bucky Dillon Show is a Liberty Revolt Media production. www.libertyrevoltmedia.com.
Guys, I just want to give another shout out to KHNC sponsor, Bucky Dillon Morning Show sponsor, expert real estate agent, Jerry Axum. Guys, buying a home is one of the most crucial purchases of your life. You do not want to mess that up. You absolutely want professional representation. And right now is a great time to buy a home. The market is surprisingly booming because interest rates are so low. You could not get a better deal on a house than buying right now, but you absolutely want some professional representation. You can trust my friend Jerry Axum. He's been in Northern Colorado for 60 years. He knows the area, he knows the market, and he's been in real estate for 16 years. So he knows exactly what to look for, what to avoid, and how to help you get the best possible home for the best possible price, or sell your home for the best possible price. You can contact him at jerry@searsrealestate.com. That's Jerry at SearsRealestate.com. Trust his experience and expertise. Guys, people like to make the case that the right wing is anti-immigration, that we are inhumane, that we don't care about helping our neighbors. That is complete crap. Having operational control of your border doesn't mean that you don't let people in. It just means that you can let people in a way that is sustainable. I absolutely believe that we need more people in this country because we need to have a workforce that can keep up with countries like China and India if we are going to be competitive. But we need to make sure that we're letting people in a way that doesn't wreck our low-income, disadvantaged populations.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to have a merit-based, a simulation-based legal system that treats immigrants fairly. It is not fair to legal immigrants, such as my wife. My wife spent years trying to get into the United States, doing things the right way, learning the language, applying for jobs, bringing skills to the table, bringing economic stimulation to the economy, doing everything the legal way, doing her research, showing up to the meetings and to get her visa and then her green card. And it is not fair to people. If you care about diversity, we can't just be taking immigrants from one part of the world at the sake of cutting off immigrants from the rest of the world. If you care about diversity, we should be taking the best and the brightest from all around the world. And that is what's going to lift all boats in this country. By bringing in, by being a brain drain that brings in the best and the brightest, the job creators, the entrepreneurs, and the people who want to be here for the right reasons and are doing things the right way.
Yep.
We need to be helping our neighbors. But if we bankrupt ourselves by having unsustainable policies, and if we make ourselves look weak on the world stage by just letting mobs of 8,000 people just storm right through, how does that make us look?
Well,
what does that mean for the sovereignty of our country?
We have more open borders than basically any of our allies, yet we're the ones that get dumped on for it. It's very funny because as always, the right is anti-immigration just because we disagree with the left on how much there should be. No, we should let everyone in. I don't think we should let everyone in. Oh, so you're anti-immigration. That's the whole point. It's like, no, needs to be controlled measures to this. It can't just be a free flow. There needs to be some kind of system where we can determine, because at the end of the day, we can only take in as many people as we have jobs for. We can't be taking in people who are immediately going to be going on to the social welfare programs, stuff like that are immediately going to be going to our hospitals, that are immediately going to be sending their kids to our schools, because those are things that people have to pay into. And if the people using them aren't the people paying into them, they're going to be bankrupted. California, I think it was in 2017, spent $21 billion of its healthcare budget on illegal immigrants. $21 billion. And that's coming out of the California taxpayers' wallet. And it's the same across all these border states. It's all the same. You need to be able to control the flow so that people, especially in impoverished communities, because, when you go to an impoverished community, it's already a community that has bad schools, usually that's already having trouble with hospitals. Ask anyone in these areas, like, what's the wait time if you ever have to go to the ER? And it's astounding. And it ends up.
And it manufactures racism. If you have these small towns all across, the southern border of the United States, and what's interesting is they actually found the closer to the border Latino voters were, the more likely they were to vote for Donald Trump, and almost exclusively because they're the ones to be first impacted by illegal immigration. Like I said, MS-13 isn't kidnapping children and selling drugs in Nancy Pelosi's neighborhood, but the people who are living in Latino communities close to the southern border, they're the ones that have 5,000 transients a week coming into their town and doing whatever they're doing. And they're afraid to deport them because they know how easy it is to just walk right back. So if they deport them and they know who got them deported, they'll come back and terrorize them. And I think
it was revealed. Do you remember when Trump suggested that we put all the illegal immigrants on buses and send them into sanctuary cities? Yeah, and they were like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want that. No. You're supposed to let them in.
All we're calling for is common sense immigration policies, guys.
Yeah, we don't send them to my city. Are you kidding? It's because underneath all of this is the inherent acknowledgement that, hey, while most immigrants are probably really good people, there's a lot that aren't. And when they aren't good people, they end up doing a lot of damage to our cities. They end up doing a lot of damage to our communities. And unless we can control the flow, these communities are going to get further hurt and further harmed and turned further from the Democratic Party, which is why they need amnesty for all of them so that they can get them voting Democrat in the next election, because that's the whole Democratic mantra is get more uninformed voters. It's like they say that Trump voters or like Republican voters are uninformed. It's like, who is the one that's trying to get 16-year-olds the right to vote? Who's the one trying to get immigrants the right to vote? Do you, especially formerly illegal immigrants voting, who do you think are going to be the low information voters? Those are the specific demographics. The younger you get and the less experience in America you have, the more uninformed the voter.
1360 KHNC Bucky Dillon Morning Show, Facebook.com/Liberty Revolt Media.
Hi, KHNC listeners. Jerry Axum, real estate agent with Sears Real Estate. Established in 1972, locally owned, and our office is in Greeley. Growing up in Greeley, I am very familiar with the community and surrounding towns. I'd like to talk to you about your real estate questions, needs, or wants. Jerry Axum, 970-576-1089, 576-1089, or jerry@searsrealestate.com.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-513-5981, 800-513-5981, 800-513-5981. That's 800-513-5981.
Reasons to own gold. Reason number 1.
Culturally, the golden rule is treating others as you want to be treated. But financially, the golden rule is those that have the gold make the rules. When you retire, make sure you can write your rules. Call the Patriot Trading Group at 800-951-0592 or visit our website at allamericangold.com.
All of the music for the Bucky Dillon Morning Show was provided by my band, Beer for Bears. Find us on social media by looking for Beer for Bears. Jerry Axum, 970-576-9089. Jerry Axum, 970-576-9089. Give him a call if you're interested in buying or selling or just have real estate questions. Guys, we have a short, probably 4-minute segment. This is the final segment. I'm going to make my final case. I'm going to allow my co-patriot Kevin to make his final case.
Yes.
If you care about this country, you treat it the same way you would treat your own home. Having walls, having a lock on your door doesn't mean that you hate the people outside. It means that you love the people inside and you put their security first. I want to have a humane border policy, but if you don't have operational control of your border, it doesn't matter what's written down on the paper. You don't have a border policy, period. Guys, this is one of the most crucial issues. This is one of the issues that gave Donald Trump the presidency. It is widely popular if you actually have the conversation with people and you're not just, and people aren't just falling for the sloganeering of the left. Kevin?
I just think that it is important to remember, especially for people on the left, that you can't have open borders unless you have a border to open. And if it's not secure, then you don't have a border. A border is sovereignty is important for any nation. Having the ability to determine who can come in and out is just a standard of having a place to live, like you mentioned. You get to determine who comes in and out of your house. Why don't you get to determine who comes in and out of your country? It's just as important. And it's not racist to say that we need to have better controls, because these controls go across the board. We have illegal immigrants coming from Asia all the time. We have illegal immigrants coming from Europe all the time, Africa all the time. And it's not just a single race of people that this applies to. It's everyone. You can't illegal immigration is hard on the lowest ends of your economy and the people that are stuck there trying to move their way up. It only becomes more difficult the more illegal immigration you allow in. So if you truly want to see prosperity from American people, you have to make sure that it's American people that you are giving the opportunities to, and not people from other countries. Just all willy-nilly. So
right, conservative case for a liberal problem. You want to help low-income people in this country. You want to help low-income people in our neighboring countries. The first ones hurt by unmitigated illegal immigration are low-income people here who need job opportunities, who need higher wages, who need economic mobility, who need access to welfare programs and funding to support them. And the first people hurt by the drugs and the crime that comes across our unmitigated borders are these same communities.
Yep,
guys,
they're always the first one affected.
If you care about people who need a leg up in this country, we have to put in place some measures to protect them. And border patrol or border security, operational control of our borders is paramount in that mission. Guys, it is our duty as patriots to not just love the geography of our country, to not just love the founding ideals of our country, but to love all Americans. And we need people who think differently than me. We need people who think differently than you. And hopefully, when you go into the voting booth, someone else will vote in a way that accounts for the areas where you're ignorant or wrong. And we appreciate that. Don't let the left get a monopoly on political power in this country through nefarious means like open borders. Guys, this has been the Bucky Dillon Morning Show. Kevin, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Northern Colorado, I hope you have a great day. Jerry Axum, Sears Real Estate, 970-576-9089. Thank him for sponsoring this show. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Triangle Cross Ranch in Gailton, Colorado, has been a very special place for God's children since 1981. A charitable nonprofit residential facility that can handle 24 ranchers. And we're a place where people with cognitive needs do fun things like animal therapy with donkeys, goats, and llamas.
Oh.